The greatest sacrifice ever made was Jesus Christ, and there can never be any sacrifice that will measure up. Today, let's talk about sacrifice as a testimony that we have in Christ. And we'll be looking at the passage of Hebrews chapter 10, which talks about the final sacrifice, which is Christ. And I will quickly quote from the verse 5, which say that, therefore, when he comes into the world, he says, sacrifice and offerings you have not desired, but a body you have prepared for me. God's desire was not in the sacrifices that they were making in the Old Testament, because it wasn't enough to bring us to the point where he wanted us to be. His intention for mankind was far greater than what sin limited us to. And so he sent his only begotten Son to come and do what our sacrifices in the past could not do. When you read John chapter 3, verse 16, it tells us that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son to us. Jesus was a demonstration of God's love towards us. And that is the greatest sacrifice that has ever been made, because in that sacrifice, we find everything that we ever needed. There is abundance in that sacrifice. And so we who have become Christian now level on that sacrifice to give anything that we have to God. When we stand to give, whether we are giving our commitment, whether through diligence, whether through love, whether through our money, whether through our time, it is not because what we are giving is based on transaction, but rather it is based on the relationship that we have through the ultimate sacrifice, who is Jesus Christ. The Old Testament related to God on transactional level. They gave to receive. The measure that they gave determined the measure that they receive. But now, you and I, our sacrifices are relational. It is based on the understanding of what Christ has done. When you read Isaiah chapter 53, verse 10, it tells us that God was pleased that Jesus should endure all that he suffered. Everything that Jesus suffered pleased God, because it was through that he won the victory for us. So when you look at sacrifice from the perspective of God, you will realize that it never brings us to a place where we are lacking. It only brings us to a place where we are able to produce more, where we are able to multiply. And Jesus, now in this kingdom, Jesus is the foundation of anything that we are able to sacrifice.